Warning, this podcast is intended for adult audiences only. We discuss sex and sexual relationships in a frank and open manner. We are not marriage and family therapists or sex therapists, and the content provided is for informational and entertainment purposes only. If you are under the age of 18 or do not wish to hear explicit discussions about sex and sexual relationships or adult language, then you shouldn't listen any further. But if you are, well, grab your seat, grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of The Accidental Swingers. We're Myrina and Tristan, a longtime married professional couple in our early 50s. Kids, dogs, cats, vacations at Disney World, you know, the whole 9 yards. But in 2018, we decided, after years of kind of talking about it, to live a non-monogamous lifestyle.
But it wasn't that easy, was it?
No, it wasn't.
You see, we sort of accidentally started swinging.
Yeah, we did. And we found our story so humorous and fun that we decided to record and chronicle our journey for ourselves so that we could go back and listen to our adventures.
And boy, have we had some adventures.
Yeah, we have.
In the last few years, we've found that we really love this lifestyle that we've chosen. And it's not only strengthened our marriage, but it's also helped us to grow both as individuals and as a couple.
And as we began to go back and listen to our recordings, we realized that others may really benefit from listening to and hearing about our mistakes and our very candid discussions about what we were going through and experiencing.
We talk about and we laugh about.
We laugh a lot.
Yeah, we do. We laugh about the mistakes that we've made, the crazy things that we've experienced, and the exciting things that have happened to us.
But we also talk very openly and honestly about the tough times, the emotional landmines and pitfalls we had to navigate, some rougher than others.
So we thought that we'd create this podcast so that others may gain some perspective or some insight and maybe even learn a lesson or two about what to do and what not to do in their own journeys.
And basically, you'll join us on our journey in real time because we will include excerpts of our recordings. Some will be quick outtakes, others will be longer conversations about what we were going through or experiencing at that time.
So grab a drink.
Or settle into your seat if you're driving.
Relax, sit back, and join us as we bumble our way through this adventure that we call
The Lifestyle. Well, hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to the Accidental Swingers podcast.
We're back again.
We're back again, episode 35.
Yes.
We're on a roll, babe.
We are on a roll.
It's hot and heavy in here now. Because we literally just finished recording episode 34, and
Yes.
we're doing episode 35 back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah, so that we'll get it out sooner. But the whole idea behind the episodes, recording them, is because this is kind of part two of our introduction to kink. What are we going to call this? Accidental kink? It wasn't accidental.
You know, that's a really interesting point. It was accidental to begin with, but then it was very measured and thought out.
Yes.
And structured, but not by us.
We'll have to think of a
us.
clever episode title for it. But anyway, so we're back with episode 35 to kind of talk about and wrap up our introduction into this world of kink and BDSM.
Yeah, which spanned a couple of months, as we mentioned in the last episode.
Right. So we're condensing it down. We'll go back and pick up some of our sexy stories from our other play dates in our upcoming episodes, but we really wanted to do this one as one big one because we want to talk about kink. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. We're going to talk about what it means. We talked about it in episode 34. We're going to talk a little bit more now after we finish this one about what has changed for us and our views on it. So we wanted to bring it all together in one package and then be able to kind of tie a bow on it and tell you where we're moving forward with it now.
Absolutely.
So before we get started, really fast, some recaps on things that we always want to touch base on is what's going on with us. So right now, the things that are exciting in our future, right down the road, and it'll be about a month, I suspect, by the time this episode comes out, that we will be traveling to New Orleans. Thank God for Naughty in New Orleans. If you guys remember last year, the buildup, and then the tremendous letdown when we didn't go. This year,
we're going.
We're going.
Yes.
Yeah. We're at like 99.9%
yeah.
that we're going. So we are so excited. If you haven't gotten tickets, if you don't know about Naughty in New Orleans, go back and listen to our very first trip to Naughty, which was episodes 8, 9, and 10. We will be eventually recording about our second trip to Naughty, which was fucking amazing in 2019.
Off the charts in 2019.
Holy shit. That might be a 4-parter. We'll see. One day, one episode for each day, maybe. I don't know.
Possibly.
And then when we're in New Orleans this year, we're going to be doing meet and greets with you guys. So anybody who's coming, make sure that you reach out to us. We're going to be doing a Discord group, a chat group before we even go. So if you're interested, if you're going to Naughty and you're interested in chatting with us and other Accidental Swingers listeners, it's a great place, a great way to meet people before you even go and just be able to say, oh, I remember chatting with you, or yes, we talked. It doesn't have to always be about setting up play dates. It can. That's also super fun too. But it's also about setting up brunch dates and and meeting people and just chatting and getting to know other people in the lifestyle. And that's what makes it fun and amazing. So join the Discord group. We'll be chatting before we even go. And then we'll be having some activities when we get to New Orleans with not only just the Discord group, but with other listeners as well. So we've got some things up our sleeve for that. So yeah, come hang out with us. Come hang out with us in New Orleans.
Yeah, we're fun everywhere, but we're particularly fun in New Orleans.
Yes. And if you're a woman
worth the trip.
And you walk past Tristan long enough that your lips stay anywhere in his lip zone, you will probably get kissed. The man kisses everything when he's in New Orleans. So just be aware. I'm warning you now. And I'm standing there going, here we go again. It takes 20 minutes to walk a block. But that's okay. That's what it's about.
If it's a good block, yes.
There's a lot of great looking people, then yes. But we do have such a great time. And I exaggerate a smidge on that one. But we're so looking forward to that. And then our Sway K is coming up in November.
Speaking of having fun with us.
Oh my God. That's going to be like intimate.
Yeah.
Intimate, fancy, exquisite, tropical vacation. So that's going to be November. It's the 5th through 12th, I think it is. Yeah. And you can find the information on our website. Just go to the website, click the travel tab, and you'll see it says Sway K. Click that. And there's a whole page about information about what we're going to do. It is very exclusive. We can only take up to 18 couples. We have about a third of those spots are already full. And so we're looking to fill the other spots, but that's all that we can take. The cost is around $3,900. It is for a week. It is all inclusive. The only thing that's not covered is your airfare from wherever you live to the Dominican Republic. Included is picking you up from the airport, getting you to the airport. Everything that we do, the food, the drinks, the alcoholic beverages, it's all included. We will be doing
excursions.
We'll be doing excursions and adventures, and we will even go into town for a couple nights. They have a chef, a gourmet chef, that she sets out the menu. We stay in fancy mansions on the on the island. We will be doing Zoom calls, the same type of thing, meeting everybody before we even go, having just so that we show up all knowing each other kind of before we even get there. No pressure. Again, that's not how we roll. If you just want to come and hang out with us for a week and just do all the excursions, there's just no pressure. There's no guarantees. There's no pressure. It's just a great vacation with a great bunch of lifestyle people, because lifestyle people are the funnest people.
Yes, we are.
We are. We love to chat and talk and party and just have a great time and just, like I said, be yourselves, have a great time. So we're so looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's what's going on with us. That's the quick and dirty.
That's the quick and dirty.
Right. So let's get back into the episode. Let's get back into this kink thing.
All right. Speaking of dirty.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So we left off in episode 34, where we had met the captain. You heard us talking about our original meet and greet with him. And then we unfortunately didn't have good audio from our first date with him, which ended up being a soft swap date because I had a UTI earlier in that week. And so that's how it ended up playing out. And it was the perfect thing. It was the perfect date to have with him because we were a little nervous. I was very nervous, didn't know what I wanted out of this kink thing. And he was clearly a person who could take us down that road if we wanted to go. Mm-hmm. So we decided to move forward with that and decided to have a couple of dates with him to see what this was like.
Yeah.
Again, you guys have to remember, this was not necessarily our goal when we recorded ourselves to have a podcast. So we didn't record for a little while.
Yeah.
And we went back and we're like, oh man.
There's nothing about these couple of dates.
There's these 2 dates. But when we did record, finally, we actually touched base on them very quickly and kind of gave a background. And then we were like, oh, that helped us remember.
To reconstruct, yeah.
Right.
Because I had I always take notes in my phone just to kind of keep things in order and so that I can remember things to supplement the recordings that we're making.
Right.
So that I could, remember what we did. Because if I don't write it down, it's gone.
Yeah, we should publish Tristan's journal.
Huh. That's a damn fine idea.
Yeah, it's just your notes, but it'll be like, oh, Myrina fucked this guy and I fucked this woman and then Myrina sucked this guy's dick. That's really basically all it is.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That might get old after a while.
Yeah, how many times can Myrina fuck this guy or you fuck this woman or eat out this lady and...
Although it doesn't get old for me. So.
I know. You actually do go back and read it.
I do. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, so we had your notes. Mm-hmm. And we had, when we went back and recorded after our 4th date with him, And that's what we're going to play in just a minute. But we kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a brief idea of what happened on dates 2 and 3, because they really weren't.
Right. How we were progressing.
Right.
So that when the audio comes in, it's more explanatory.
And I think the thing that's really interesting is that really there was nothing like ginormously huge that happened in those 2 dates. And this 4th date that we actually have the audio from is where things started to really shift.
What shifted is your comfort level and my comfort level. Yeah, we were just continually expanding our comfort levels. And becoming just more and more open to possibilities and more open to what the captain had to offer. And as he sensed that, he offered more.
Right.
So, yeah, again, very masterful in the way that he brought us along, slowly and in a measured way, and in a non-threatening and easy and fun way.
Right. And I was going to say that's exactly right. So he knew how far to push. It was never negative. When I say push, it's just to gently say, do you want to try this next? Yeah. Do you want to try this next? And I remember asking him at one point in time, and this was probably even after our 4th play date, but I remember asking him, well, why didn't you show me that? Or why haven't we talked about that? Or whatever it was. And he said, you're not ready. And I took that as a compliment in the sense of I trusted, like that was such a trust thing for me. And that's exactly who he is.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to show you that because if I do it, it's not okay right now. Like,
and that's exactly who you need to introduce you to this world, is somebody that you can trust and somebody that you do trust.
That's what I needed.
Well,
I don't know that everybody needs that, but that's what I needed.
Me too. I needed that.
Because we were so against it.
Yeah. I suspect that most people, it's beneficial.
I do too.
Maybe people don't need it, but I think it's probably beneficial.
I think for me, and we'll talk a little bit more about it at the end when we talk about what kink now means for us. But at the time, because it was so foreign and so negative, that I didn't want to think that I would enjoy it because all I knew was negative, the connotation.
Right.
And so that's...
Which is a connotation that we created.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know any differently.
Right.
It's just naivete, but yeah. So what happened in dates 2 and 3?
Well, again, we went to his house, and this time there was a little more out for us to see. He had shown us at the first date, we talked about the massage table and the soft and sensual implements. He had shown us this sex swing that he had built, and he built this thing, and it's amazing. It's hard to describe, but
it's a Mac Daddy. It's a sex swing on steroids.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my recollection is that he, on that first date, he actually put you in it.
To sit.
Just to see what it felt like to be in the swing. You were fully clothed at that point.
Yes.
And that's when we then progressed to the massage table in the other part of the house. And so this particular date, this second date, you actually went into the sex swing naked and ready to go. And so we spent, I have no idea how long, but I mean, it probably was hours with various toys. We took turns going down on you. We took turns fucking you. We took turns with toys. It just went on and on and on because you went on and on and on. And the captain is wired and I'm wired such that when there's still a woman to be pleasured and wanting to be pleasured, we're going to keep going to the extent that we can. And so when there's 2 of us that are like that, we can flip back and forth and take breaks and rest. And so it's great for Myrina when that happens.
Yes, I was going to say, yay me.
Yeah, yay you.
I was truly the beneficiary of that.
Yeah.
That was another one of those, I didn't know my body could do that. Like, I would come and then I would just come again. Like, it was insane. It had never happened like that before.
Yeah, it's on and on and on. And so that went on for a long time. And then we took a break and then we moved you to the bed. And then at some point, he got out. Well, he learned from the first date that you require splash pads from time to time.
Right.
The splash pads were on the swing. We moved over to the bed. More splash pads were laid down. And the 2 of us started playing with you. And then I got my camera and I just got down in front of you and I took a video of like 10 minutes of him playing with your clit with one toy and with your G-spot with a G-spot toy with the others. And you just squirted and squirted and squirted for basically 10 continuous minutes until I literally ran out of storage on that particular video because I had an old phone at the time. And apparently I learned then that I have a limitation on what I can video in any one particular video. And so I ran out of room. And at one point, I had to wipe off the camera lens and it was...
you were in the splash zone.
I was in the splash zone and I loved it. And it was amazing. I've been with you a long time, and I've never seen anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
hadn't either.
Yeah.
I've been with me a long time, and I never have that happen either.
Yeah. So it was just continuous orgasms for you.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah. And that went on and on and on. And that was after the first round of continuous orgasms. So it just,
and that was
switches were flipped.
Yes, I was just going to say. And so the thing about that is that the difference there, so was being in the swing, which I had not tried before. I'd never been in a sex swing before. And like I said, his is a Mac Daddy swing. He built it beautifully. It's very adjustable, and so he can move you and manipulate you. And he's very well versed in his swing. Like, he uses it well to his advantage. He knows how to fuck in it so that it does a lot of the work for him. So I mean, it's a smart thing to have. And I'm relaxed. I'm laying there. My feet are up, but they're in like these, I don't want stirrups for lack of a better term, but that's not just the cuffs but your legs are raised. So I'm swinging, but I'm relaxed. And I think that's a huge piece of it because I don't have to hold my legs up in the air. They can rest and relax. And I think that's part of the ability of what made me be able just to come and come and come and come.
Yeah.
But that was really the only thing at that point in time that we had tried. So that was new for me, was being in the swing. And then, toys were not necessarily new, but the way that he used them.
Yeah.
And he was very intentionally learning my body and figuring out where my spots are. I know when that happens especially in those first couple dates, I was checked out. Like, I'm not listening. And I know he talked to you a lot about, like, see this,
the
do
whole
that.
time,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I remember tiny little bits and pieces of it, but normally I'm orgasming, so I'm not paying attention. But I remember hearing these little things where he would say to you, I don't even know what he said, but it was something about me, like, see what she does, see this when I do this, see what happens. And it was somehow my body would react, or my clit would react, or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned a lot.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It was really, really cool. And that was a neat experience. He's just a well-versed guy. So, but yeah, that was a fun play date.
Yeah.
And that was like a month after the first play date.
It was.
And then we set up another play date. And so what had happened with the third play date, though, I got my period, or something was happening.
I think you were on the tail end of it.
Oh, I know what happened. So I had originally said to him, here are the dates we have available. What date do you want? And he had picked a date. And then when I still was not clear from my period, yes, I said to him, let's pick a second date as a backup, because here's now what's available, because we knew what days we were doing what. And we normally only went out on Fridays and Saturday nights. We did meet and greets during the week. And so our date nights were Friday and Saturday night, I think still at that point in time. So we had limited times open. And so I said, well, go ahead and pick another one so that we have it on the books penciled in case we have to cancel this one. And he had picked a week later, the Sunday or something like that. And I said, okay, that's fine. So we penciled that in.
Actually, this was a time when we were having play dates very often throughout the week, which is why it's taken us 5 or 6 episodes just to get through the first half of February of 2019.
Yeah.
What we decided with him was that we only wanted to have dates with him on the weekends because we knew it was going to be a long process that you're going to need to recover from.
Right.
So
and it could be hours and hours of play date.
Right.
From like the second,
right. Whereas
play date.
with the rest of the dates that we were having during the week, typically with single guys, they were still long play dates, but they weren't going on and on and on for hours.
And I wasn't orgasming for hours and hours and hours on end.
Well, sometimes you were.
Well, and that's always the goal.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. That's the goal. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
I'm reminded of Louis from episode, I forget which episode that is. And so, yeah, the point being,
yes, it can happen.
Yeah, we were reserving weekend time for the captain. Yes.
So that we didn't have to be somewhere. We
Right.
didn't have to get home to go, to get to work early. Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. So yeah. So anyway, so he had picked a backup date. And when it came time for the third date, I was on the tail end of my period. And so I think it just wasn't a great play date. He was actually also on call at work.
Yeah.
So like the phone would ring and we were in the middle of something. He would have to go and get the phone. I would play. But it just wasn't, it was very disjointed.
He couldn't get completely into it because he was divided between pleasuring you and his work obligations.
Right.
And there was something going on with his work. And so he was on the phone a lot.
Right.
And he was very apologetic, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We
and
understand.
it was. But it was very disjointed, So what we ended up doing.
We never got a rhythm.
Right. So what we decided to do was go ahead and keep that scheduled play date that had been on the books for the following week.
Yeah.
So there was only a week time between date number 3 and date number 4. And so this audio Now you're up to speed. If everybody's following along with your graphs and your charts, we ought to put a timeline on our... We should put a timeline on the website. No one would ever pay attention anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, so we're finally at date number 4. Mm-hmm. Do we have any setup for this before we actually play the audio, or should we just play the audio?
I think we just play the audio.
I think we play the audio.
I think we've been setting it up for the last episode and a quarter. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's play the audio then. This is the date number 4 with the captain. So this is really kind of the next big date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
And our policy was going to be once a month.
Once a month. And it still has to be.
Yeah.
It still has to be. But this was a special thing.
Special,
and I don't know. I mean, he doesn't know that.
No.
But I think I said something in the throes of the play date last week about how something like he's dangerous and this is why. I can't remember. But I remember thinking, oh, I don't think I should have said that. I don't know. I don't even remember what it was, and I don't know if he even caught it.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He does catch everything.
He catches everything, and he plans, and he has a strategy that he's slowly implementing on you, as evidenced by tonight.
I know. I'm not stupid. I know. And I told him that baby steps, and he's been very...
Yeah, he has been very respectful and very strategic.
Mm-hmm. And...
Patient,
and checks in with me during... So this, which kind of leads into this. So anyways... So he picked tonight. So we decided, we had today, Sunday. So we actually got to his house around 3:30. Oh, and he had messaged me earlier in the day today and asked me if I wanted to try the motor bunny. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but if you think I'm quote unquote ready for it, then sure. And so he said, I think we'll enjoy it. And I said, okay. So we get to his house. He had texted me a picture of it, but without the accoutrements on it. Mm-hmm. We get to his house, and the massage table is set up, and the motor bunny thing is set up, and I guess it's supposed to be. Is that what a Sybian is?
Yeah, it's like a mini. It's like a mini Sybian.
Okay, and there's different attachments that go on it and stuff like that. Different like dildo pieces, size cocks, and things like that. So you guys put me on the table, gave me a little massage first, which was very nice, and then he said, "All right, let's try this." So I got down on it, and the plastic on the cock thing is really hard and it's really rigid, and it was not comfortable, and it wasn't big. I mean, I don't think you picked a particularly big one, thick one.
No, but I didn't realize that the discomfort was the material.
I don't know that it was, but I'm just saying it was just...
He had other ones that could have tried. That's what...
So maybe... That's why I said I don't think it's a wash, but yeah, so it was uncomfortable, and at first we tried it to where it was just not comfortable, and I couldn't feel like I could take my feet off the ground even. Like I couldn't straddle it the right way. It was just not
the way it elevated on a little table.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just was, and I didn't even think about it either until now we're talking about it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Was that, it was just really, really rigid, and I didn't know that there were other ones really that were different or whatever.
He has like 10 of them.
Right.
That he laid out for you to choose.
Yeah, so I'll mention that to him.
Yeah.
That as we were talking about it before, that I didn't really look at them and didn't realize that they were different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was different textures, different shapes.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. So then he said, well, let's try it where you're like on your knees and it's kind of on a pillow on the floor kind of thing. And that was better. But that one was better. Like I was sitting at a better angle. But what I was feeling was that I couldn't relax into my body enough because I don't know, it just wasn't comfortable to relax.
And it's a completely foreign thing for you. And,
right.
Right. I think you kind of like to ease into things. And,
well, I mean, most people do. But yeah, I mean, you gotta try it.
Right.
So I think it's just finding the right position or whatever. But anyway, so it dials and it does all this stuff and whatever. So he's like, yeah, this isn't working for you because you should be already to this, to the point where you can't take it anymore, not the fact that you haven't even come. And I'm like, okay. So we tried that, and then you guys flipped me over.
Well, then our theory was that you hadn't been adequately.
Oh, that's right.
You hadn't been adequately ramped up and worked up.
That's right.
Which I think was a lot to that we just kind of stuck you on this thing, and you needed to be
already. Yeah. I needed to be engorged and yeah.
So we.
Yeah, so we tried that, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and it was still uncomfortable. You guys,
Yeah, but you came many times.
Yes.
And then we put you on it again, and same thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's when he actually said, this is not for you tonight. This is not going to work. And I said, but So the whole reason that we're having this recording is actually, then we went out to dinner, we got back for round 2, and
at the end, so in round 1, we also took turns fucking you, and the whole 9 yards.
It was great.
Yeah, it would. I mean, round 1 would have been a complete. Well, it was a complete night, really,
for most people.
Right, for most people.
For most people. And it was really good. So then we went to dinner, and we came back, and he said something like, I know what I'm going to do with you. And I was like, what? He's like, come over here. And so he stood me at the end of the massage table and stood behind me, and he undid my shorts and dropped my shorts and said, bent me over the massage table. And I was like, okay. And then I forget what he said, but basically the bottom line was that he was going to spank me, flog me, whatever, spank me, flogging, with some of his tools that he had out there. And so he's like, all right, tell me how you like this one. Tell me how you like that one. So he did try a couple of different things with me. So it was really interesting. It was different. I don't mind being spanked. It's not something that necessarily turns me on when people spank me, but usually it's because you're kind of like in the middle of fucking, and then you get spanked, and so it's like this total change. So it's more of like the thing. So when you're bent over a table, and that's what you're expecting it, so it kind of lost a little bit of that like excitement to it, or that piece to it. So he tried a couple different things, and then I really liked the softer things, the leather ones, I guess that he used. I don't what are they called? Like cat of nine tails or something? Are those what those are?
I don't know. But there was one flogger that had a little bit thicker leather than you liked the one that was a little bit thinner, softer leather.
And I didn't look really at any of them that he was using. And that felt good. And what I liked about it was that when you kind of switched from, he would smack me, but then like
drag it,
drag it along my skin, and then kind of flip it, and then hit me with it. So that felt good, because that was kind of this change, that change. And then really, quite honestly, the thing that I really did love the best were the gloves. So he put on the gloves with it really felt like broken glass, and I couldn't explain. And that was the only thing I think of, because someone else, what's-her-face, had said that there were these gloves that were like had glass in them, and that's all I could think of, that's what this felt like. But they were gloves that had they literally had like nails, like small nails sticking out of them. And that was such a crazy feeling and sensation, and just kind of all over. And then he would like touch me with those, and I guess you would then touch me with your bare hands. And so it was this change of total sensation, and that was really exciting. That felt really, really good. And so I really like the tactile stuff is kind of what I realized. Like, and then he had some other things that he did smack my ass quite a bit. I think my ass is very red.
Yeah, it's not now, but it was
beet red,
yeah.
Which is totally fine. Oh, and then you guys, so then he took out a vibrator and started playing with my clit and smacking my ass at the same time. So, and that was kind of cool, because that was that, then you're more to that feeling, like you're lost in that feeling of, I'm getting ready to orgasm, and then you get a whack, So I was like, okay, that was all right as well. So it was really interesting. I don't know, I feel like I would like this sensation piece a lot more than the smacking piece. Like that really didn't do much for me to,
Yeah, and you also like that, the little metal teeth thing that we drag along you.
Yeah.
You like that.
Yeah.
And so I can see where you, and you also like the rabbit fur flogger that he had.
Yeah, whatever that was. Yeah, I didn't see what it was, but yes.
So you like the more sensation type thing rather than the impact.
Yes. Yeah, so that was different. That was definitely different. So I would be open to, I'm sure, like you said, he has a plan. And he wants to introduce me to all sorts of things. And I do trust him because he has proven himself to be very respectful and very responsible and honoring my wishes and,
Yeah, and he's a great teacher, and he's patient, and he.
And it's an interesting, and I will tell you, so he's a master with these toys, but tonight was the first night that he was able to fuck me multiple times.
So I was thinking about that, and we kind of talked about this before, and I'm sure it's because he was in his groove,
Yeah.
He was doing what he does.
Right.
He was excited.
And my body was responding to
it,
him tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he wasn't having to stop and answer phone calls and all that stuff. And I didn't tell him he had to abstain from anything, and I don't think that he did. I'm sure that he didn't. I wasn't going to tell him, don't have, make sure you're in good shape for me on a Sunday when you clearly, I'm sure, gotten together with people on Friday and Saturday and whatnot. So I was thinking that it was not going to be as good because I figured he had been with other people over the last couple of days, whereas last week he's like, I haven't been with anybody for 3 days because, I wanted to be able to fuck you hard, and it was okay. It was better than the very first time, but, this tonight was great.
Yeah.
But he has figured out, which is what's super fucking smart on his part, of course, how to use that swing.
Yeah.
And, that goes to show you, I came more with him fucking me than I probably maybe just as much as when does.
Huh. Wow.
And, yeah, it's different.
Uh-huh.
It's definitely different because, amazing fuck, but it was just as much. Yeah, he knows how to use that swing. Plus, I think here's the other piece of the puzzle, is that with that in the swing, I was using the swing because I get better when I can, a lot of times when we're having sex, I'll put my hands over my head and I kind of push up against the wall, and it kind of gives me something to push against to be able to then
Yeah, and you mentioned that last time that was a downside of the swing, is that you couldn't do that.
Yeah, so this time I used the straps and would hold on, and so I'm practically, I won't be surprised if my muscles are sore tomorrow because I was holding myself with the straps, so I was able to get that same kind of muscle contraction, leverage, and then I would sit up. So I could then not only do that, then I would sit up, and then he would be able to really get in and hit me at my spot, which would make me come all over him. So I wanted to tell you that for the next time that we're there and we try the swing, that once I'm amped up and ready to go and, orgasming, then how that might work also for us.
Okay.
Where I can come multiple times.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Because I can't, I'm not kidding. It was, I'm covered in it because we were splashing.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. It was really, really cool. So that was an interesting evening, and he is an amazing find. But I like him more every time that we're with him, and it gets to be more comfortable.
Uh-huh.
And, I think we've made another friend, and then we'll be able to have a lot of different experiences, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's what's in store, but
yeah,
but
well,
I
it's
really
it's a great safe way to explore different things,
right?
That you would never do what you did tonight with really anybody else, unless you had been like him.
Well, and I don't, and that's the other thing I was going to say again, that because I don't want to get caught up in that, it's amazing. Of course my body is going to have, I really did that one orgasm that I had. My whole body was, and then I was thinking, that's even, I was an entire full body, full blown, crazy ass orgasm. And I was, in high vocal pitch. And so I think I did have ringing in my ear. And I think it was, though, because my head, I think it was just kind of echoing off. My head was turned and my arm was up over and it was kind of echoey or something, but I don't know. But he was right. He's like, well, you were kind of like, it was like this kind of momentary out of body experience. And so as we were talking about it, but then we went on to something else, I was like thinking, I wonder if this is what people feel like, the whatever that's called, I forget.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Or when you're choked or something like that, because then he's like, you have to breathe. And I'm like, I'm breathing, but I don't. He saw it and he stopped. a little bit later. But he was like, you need to breathe. And I'm like, what? Which is also something that's kind of nice because he's so acutely aware of, even more so than I am, about what my body's doing and how I'm reacting and things like that. So, but that was fucking crazy.
Well, I think what you're about to say is, you don't want to get dependent.
Yeah.
You don't want to get dependent upon, which is why it's like once a month to do this kind of play.
Yeah.
Because, and I was thinking the same thing. Is like, we don't want you to get to where
you can't.
Right.
Fucking me doesn't is like.
Yeah. Right.
Pull out the whatever he called it.
The industrial
vibrator.
Yeah. So which you've been acutely aware of from the beginning with our first date with.
Well, all my life.
Yeah. I don't want to be like her where this is what's required to get me off.
Right.
And I wholeheartedly agree. I don't want that to be what's required to get you off.
Yeah.
It's fun every now and then.
Right.
But you don't want that to be the bar.
Right. So, and I can see it's dangerous because it feels so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And
talking to when we had our date with her, when he and I had the date, we were talking, when he'd gone off, I forget what he was, but the two of us were alone, and we were talking about, just general lifestyle experiences, and she's been in the lifestyle for 3 years, and she said, I didn't do any of this stuff before I met him, and she was a freak, and...
She was what?
She was a freak.
What do you mean?
Like, just completely freaky, and she said, no, I wasn't like this at all, like the flogging with the bunny, with the, thanking him for orgasms. It's just like the whole 9 yards, all the stuff that she said, I didn't do any of this stuff. So, I don't know that that's where we want to be.
Yeah, no.
But it's a fun kind of fantasy thing every now and then to do, like once a month, whatever. But yeah, I don't want that to be, and neither of us want that to to be like our story,
right.
The way that we play on a day in, day out basis, because you're never going to be satisfied.
Right.
And, I want on a Tuesday for you and me to go back to the bedroom and, spend 45 minutes together and have a great time. We both have orgasms and we go to bed, not 5 hours of I've got you hanging from the ceiling in a swing and flogging you and all that. I don't think we want that to be our go-to.
Not at all.
Yeah, I agree. That said, it was hot as shit to watch.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. But we just need to be careful about it.
Oh, yeah.
But you know that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're the one who brought that up.
Yeah.
That like, I don't know that this is where we want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. But
enjoy it, but certainly, when we do it, enjoy the shit out of it.
Of course.
Because that was really hot.
Well, after our first... So this is the first date that we've had that's actually been, right? Is this our third or fourth time with her? I think it
might be fourth, because the first time we just met.
Well, I'm not counting that.
And then
I had my period.
Yeah, in February when we went and saw him. Oh, then you had your UTI.
Oh, that's what it was, my UTI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't we still go back to his house and play?
We did.
Yeah. It was just
you guys massaged me. It was a massage. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then the next time was when you squirted for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay,
then,
this was the fourth time
that
we've actually
and then last weekend, and then tonight, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the hottest thing for me, which is like the most vanilla thing that we did all night, is when you were on top of me, fucking me cowgirl, and he was standing on the bed and you were sucking his cock. That was just hot as shit.
Oh, yeah?
Because I'm looking at your tits right there, I'm looking at you sucking his cock right there, and that's the most vanilla thing we did all night long.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, probably the hottest thing that we did all night long.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I should have mentioned that when we were talking about what was our favorite part, and pretty much all of it was hot. So, but yeah, that was my favorite part.
Oh, there you go.
Quote unquote vanilla thing that we did.
Yeah. Vanilla thing.
Yeah. So yeah, a good night.
That was good.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, a really good synergy with him for 3 ways. And that's good. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, he likes you, and he knows you're interested and you want to learn, and tell you stuff.
Yeah, I feel the same about him as I do about where we just have he wants me to be there.
Right.
All the other guys, they're like, he's here. But they really just want to fuck you. They don't really care that I'm there or not.
Right.
Whereas really likes that I'm there and enjoys that, the synergy that the three of us have, and same with and it shows, and it's very obvious to me, when that's absent, which is 98% of the time.
Oh.
So anyway, another reason why I really like him. It's a good combo. Anyway, so good night. We're almost home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop.
All right.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm glad we have that audio.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot in there.
Yeah. And it's interesting to hear. So that was 2 months later, even from our, 2 months-ish from meeting him, even from the meet and greet.
Yeah. Maybe 2.5, maybe 3.
And you can hear the relationship that started to build already.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Very cool.
So what was your takeaway about that audio?
So I think I said it in there. I talked about trust. And I believe I talked about comfort in there, and which obviously go hand in hand. But trust is so incredibly important in this sort of a dynamic, as I mentioned earlier, because when you're pushing boundaries like this, you need to have trust. You need to have trust in each other. We needed to have trust that we were both okay with this, and comfort that we were both okay with this. But very importantly, we need to have trust with the person who's helping us push those boundaries. And we had developed this.
Right.
It wasn't automatic, but we developed it relatively quickly with them. The trust and the comfort level is paramount. The comfort level for you, the fact that you were able to orgasm so quickly and easily and so often really was a function of your comfort, because that's not always the case. You have to be comfortable with somebody in order for that to happen the way that it was happening with him. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's really important also.
Right.
But they're all related.
And I don't know that it needs to be that way for everybody, So, I mean, I don't want to make it a blanket statement that you have to have trust. And so, but for
something like this,
for where we were going and what we were so careful and didn't even want to explore it, for us, it was really important. I think for people who are like, yeah, let's try this kink thing, they may not have to have that level of trust if they're just gung-ho and they want to try it no matter
That's
what.
True. Yeah.
I think for us, because
and we talked about that earlier, because we were so hesitant and we were so really against it in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, this was not something that we ever thought we were doing.
Right.
And so I loved listening to this because this was clearly the first time that I had been flogged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
And so talking about the different floggers that he used, I remember in the very first recording that we ever did about our failed date, we were like, she likes to be flogged. What even is that?
Yeah.
Because something came up the other day, and I happened to listen to that little bit of audio or something. We were doing something, and I'm like, oh my God, we were so young, and we're like, we don't even. I'm like, is that where you whip someone? Is that? I think I even said, is that one of those like cat and nine tail things? Like, I don't even know what that is. And I'm really not sure what the difference is on those particular items. But yeah, so this was the first time because that was never going to happen for me. And because it was negative, there's such a negative connotation. But this was the first time. So he tried different floggers on me. Clearly, because now his collection is vast and makes them out of so many different materials. But these were the softer side ones. He picked the leathers that were softer, the things that weren't going to cause as much shock value. I don't want to say pain because they can all not cause pain if you do it. Depends on how you do it. And that was the other thing too. Like you just think that someone's got a flogger and they're just going to beat the shit out of you. This is what's important though. I will tell people, if you listeners. So for us, the trust was important. And for finding someone that knew what they were doing, we didn't know that was so important, but it's incredibly important.
It's incredibly important.
Don't just let someone pick up a flogger and flog you with it without knowing what their skill level is. Yeah. Tristan's right. And that's the one thing that we've learned from the captain is that you can really hurt somebody if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And people have accidentally lacerated people's kidneys because the flogger will wrap around the side. So it can be dangerous. Yeah. So just be aware of that. I'm not saying it to scare you because that's how we were, but we found someone who was very, very, very knowledgeable. And
it's not intended to scare, but it's intended to instill respect for the process. You need to understand what's happening and how to proceed.
Right.
Because it can be dangerous.
And there are videos about it. There's information you can find out about it. I'm going off on this here just because I'm thinking about it, but it is important because you can smack someone's ass because it's really super fleshy, but you go much higher than that and you're in a danger zone. But then there's areas on the back that are totally fine, and there are areas on the back right next to it that are not.
Yeah.
Just look it up. If you want to pick up a flogger and smack someone, just start with the ass and just go lightly. Bacon on your own leg. That's another thing that he taught us, that I still do it. Like if we're looking to buy a new toy or something like that, I'll stand there and say, I'll either say, you hit me with this, or I'll hit my leg with it if I'm looking for a new flogger. that ought to give you some clues as to what's coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, like as I'm shopping for a new flogger, which never in a million years, 5 years ago, I'd have been like, fuck no. Again, no one's going to touch me like that. But it was so interesting hearing that and talking about the different things that I liked. And again, and you hear us talking about it, and you said he has a plan for you. And I'm like, I know, I'm not stupid. But he did a beautiful job of like, that was what he introduced us to this particular time, was just the soft, much more sensual side of things.
Yes.
And let me allow myself to see where my tolerances were, because sometimes they're different. And your tolerance may be different on a different day. For women, a different time of the month, your body reacts differently depending on truly where you are in your cycle. So it can just be different. You just need to be aware of those types of things. So I just found that very interesting, though, in listening to that audio. The other thing, too, I wrote down that we were talking about the motor bunny. See, it's so fascinating. Different things do different things for different people. I do not have luck with trying to ride or be on some kind of a mechanical something. Any of those types of things just don't work for me. And I don't know if it's the shape of my internal lady bits, but it just...
Yeah.
And I've forgotten about that
You've given it the old college try
a couple of times, yeah. And I keep trying. I'll keep trying. And maybe it's the attachment, but I just don't have. I just am not crazy about having hard plastic shoved up my pussy. I'd much rather be a dick or fingers or the toy that's meant to do that. Like, you know, the captain does have one that's a particularly hard toy, but it's the G-spot one.
Yeah.
So, and he knows how to use it masterfully. So it's like, it's not painful. It just makes me come all over the place. Yeah, different things for different people, and don't feel bad if you don't enjoy something. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Just try it, though.
And that's the other thing, too. And we talked about it. We've talked about it multiple times. It was me, my fear of saying, I don't want to do this more than once a month. I just, again, being fearful that it was going to be something that took over our lives. We talked about it in the audio. We don't want to have a just to go fuck. We didn't want it to become a production. We were scared. I was scared that I was going to like it so much that it was going to be the only way that I ever wanted to have sex anymore. And that has not been the case. Yeah. So I will put those issues to rest for everybody. I fuck just fine without it being a kinky night. But I do love the kinky nights now. So, you know.
Yeah. And for me, too. I mean, it's something to sprinkle in there. It's not my entire life by any stretch. And for some people, it is.
Right.
But not for me, not for us. But it definitely spices things up, which is ironic to hear us talk about wanting to spice things up. I know how that sounds to regular people, but it's true. Because we love variety, and I guess that's the bottom line.
Right.
You know, and it goes back to the sexual buffet that I always talk about. Well, this is one end of the buffet, and yeah, and it is fun from time to time. But we talk about so we go to kink events now,
right?
And in fact, we're going to one next week. We're going to Beyond Leather in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we were at Chicago at Kinky College in March. And one of the events that we went to was a power exchange event a couple of years ago, and we left that thinking, that's not for us. And the whole master slave, mistress slave, complete total 24 hours, 7 day a week power exchange is not something that really would fit our lives. But that sort of a power exchange dynamic is really fun and hot in little doses from time to time when it's incorporated into a scene or just general kinky play. When that's what we're feeling, it's a lot of fun. The whole point being, as we said earlier, it's a spectrum, and it can be whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be dark and scary. It can be fun and sensual. We found that it's incredibly trust building and trust inducing, because you kind of, and I keep going back to trust, and I do believe that you need to trust who you're playing with in this way. And that very trust builds intimacy, and that intimacy then just enhances your relationship. And so this is a way that something like this, and we talk about that same dynamic with swinging generally, because just our general swinging requires a lot of trust, which then fosters intimacy and love. Well, the same with kink, just in a different way, because the same cycle is there, trust and intimacy.
Right. And I think I want to back up just a second, though, and talk a little bit about, because you covered basically 3 kind of types of kink. So let's flash forward just a smidge to where we are now. And as you said, because we go to kink events now. So from this, and we'll continue to highlight these stories because there are some really sexy, fun stories that happen as our kink journey grows. We really felt like it was going to be pretty closed, like it was going to be once a month, and that's what we wanted. So we are much more active in that community now. And what I want to say to our listeners is we were so scared of it and worried about it. And when we started to explore that area, we didn't know what to do. We did it slowly, and we were blessed to be with this amazing man who brought it to us in this way. When we felt safe and comfortable, there was more like, yeah, but now I think I do want to try this and I do want to try that. And I will say for me, more so I think than for you, but you answer for yourself. For me, there was something living in the cave, and I want to explore that space. And I've been able to bring light into the cave a little bit more and explore that space at my own comfort level. And I really like it. There are ways that it pushes my boundaries. Some days I'm not into it, just like with anything else. But there are other days where it's like allows me to push past something that I didn't know of myself. And I like that challenge. I'm a challenge-driven person. And so it's become this own like, ooh, can I do that? And if I still feel like it will feel good, if it pushes me, because at the end, it's all about, for myself, it's all about how that makes me feel. Mm-hmm. But there are multiple levels. And what I wanted to point out, because it doesn't have to be hardcore. When people say kink, and we've learned this because we are starting to teach some kink education. We'll be at Nadia in New Orleans, and we're going to do an intro to kink class, a swinger's introduction to kink. Because we realized kink sometimes can be a negative word, or BDSM can be have a negative connotation, as we talked about, because for us it really did. Mm-hmm. That's why we're so passionate about talking about it to people. It can be anything from just like, well, maybe I'll wear a blindfold. That's something that may be kinky for you because that's different
and new. Yeah.
And new. And let me tell you, a single blindfold can be really erotic because it just changes everything. That's all. Maybe that's all you do. A single blindfold and even just a scarf.
That popped into my head right then, because I remember with Amber one night that we spent together, I took just very simple things. And it was a blindfold. It was a silk scarf. It was my Chinese paintbrushes that have very soft bristles, and a ruler. So just with those couple of things, I was able to create this kind of palette of sensations, from very soft to, a little not so soft, as she became more receptive to it. It doesn't have to be this huge dungeony scene.
Right.
It can just be some simple things that are introduced in simple ways, and new, novel, and exciting ways.
And the other thing that I'm thinking about as you're talking about that is that whatever your level or your comfort level is, don't be afraid to try those things. And we've talked about this also often, is that it can be very hard to say to your partner of 25, 27 years, who you've always said, don't you ever smack me on the ass, don't you ever touch me in a way that's disrespectful, to then say, maybe you could try and smack me on the ass and see how that feels. So have these conversations with your partner, talk about it, listen to this episode together and say, do we think we want to look into some of this stuff? And then listen to other podcasts about the kinky side of things and see what sounds exciting and what doesn't. It can be so hot and sexy and sensual, and it doesn't have to be this full-on master-servant thing. That is so far beyond on the other side of the spectrum. You can make it what you want. And that's the other thing, too. So that when I said you brought up these kind of multiple levels of kink. So, there's just kind of some basic stuff. There's the BDSM aspect, which is the bondage and the sadist and the masochist. Sadist is the beating one. The masochist is the one who enjoys pain. There's a whole bunch of different levels, of those types of things. You don't have to fit yourself. You don't need a label right now. Right. Don't worry about a label. So that's kind of what I'm getting to. And the power exchange thing that you also talked about is even a different level.
Right.
It's not a sex-oriented thing. It's a truly fulfilling a person's personality that they fall into. They're such a submissive person. That's their love language, is submission. Mm-hmm. Whereas somebody else's love language is dominance. But it's love. It's not out of beat the shit out of you. So there's so many different things. So because we didn't know any differently.
It's a universe. I mean, it really is universe of everything that you can think of.
And we've been very lucky to be able to attend events. I think our whole style, our whole personality, the way that we've definitely addressed things these last couple of years has been like, let's go try. Mm-hmm. And the worst thing's going to happen is that we don't do anything. And that's not a bad thing. So let's go to these. And the first time we went to the Power Exchange, and we were like, that was so interesting and fascinating and amazing to watch these people who have built these fantastically loving, amazing relationships with each other. Not our bag, but that was fascinating to watch and listen and learn and be part of that dynamic for a little while. And then the kink events that we've been to, we'll go to the dungeons, and sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to play. I just want to sit and watch, because I get mesmerized by watching people and be like, I don't see how that could be fun. Like, you know, there's stuff
how did you think of this?
Yeah, like who thinks that this is a great idea? And we're going to save you some of those details. We'll tell you about them later. But it's like, who thought that was going to be okay to do to your body? But the thing that we've learned and respect is that if they want that done to their body, that, man, more power to you. And if you find someone that loves you or someone that wants to be in that dynamic with you and that turns you both on, or it just fills something in you that whatever it is that you need, that's amazing. It's an amazing, amazing thing. So we have learned, just like we're going to this event this weekend, we've never been. We don't have any idea what it's like. So we're like looking at the schedule and we're like, we're just going to take every fucking class we possibly can, even if we don't know what this thing even means. If you think it's going to be interesting, we're going to go. And we don't know if we're going to even be like, leave there going, oh, I don't think I'm ever going to do that. Or I have to leave the class early. Like it happened at Kiki College the one time the guy was doing something. You're like, oh, I can't even stand here and watch this. But
Although
you did talk to him later about it.
I talked to him later, and he did something similar to the thing that made me get up and leave.
Yeah.
He did it to me, and it was like awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, and so those are the kinds of things. And it's like we've learned.
I can't leave that. I was vacuum sealed into in a plastic. I don't even know how to. It was like shrink wrapped with plastic with the air extracted from this cube, which created this my entire body was enveloped in latex and then like lifted off of the. It was amazing.
Like this floating. You felt suspended, yet cocooned.
Yeah, cocooned.
Yeah, you were totally wrapped, but yet you were suspended.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really kind of awesome.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't scary at all. It wasn't scary. It looked weird.
Yeah.
It looked weird, but it was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
It was probably the least scary thing, honestly, out of all the stuff that was in the room.
Actually, what made me leave the room wasn't that per se.
Yeah, there's a different thing.
It was a different bag thing where you had like a breathing tube. I'm like, oh, fuck no.
Yeah, that's totally different. This was not like that.
No,
but I didn't see that.
Yeah, but the general concept was the whole, being shrink wrapped.
Right.
My head was out of this, so I could breathe, but I have a thing about that. So.
But see, that's what this is. And so
it's exploration and pushing boundaries and seeing what scares you or what makes you uncomfortable and saying, all right, well, maybe I can chip away at the edges of that or just jump straight in and face it. Yeah.
Or not. That's the other thing. And that's the beauty.
But it's a growth opportunity to do something that you find challenging.
Right. And some people don't appreciate those opportunities. Like I said, that's my personality. I'm like, oh, I'm going to challenge that. And my litmus test, and when we go to these events and things like this, my own personal litmus test is if I leave from here and tomorrow or next week or next month, I go, man, I should have tried that. Like, why didn't I try that? Why was I being such a wuss about it? Then I go, okay, I'm going to try it. Get your ass up there, Myrina, and do it, and just, nothing's going to happen. Normally you're in a big group with a big bunch of people, and it's not like it's because you're at these kink events. So that's where I've kind of learned. And I've had a couple of experiences where I really pushed through, and it's been awesome in the sense of just even trying something that I never, ever thought I would try. And you'll hear more about those things as we get further into our kink journeys. But I want you to understand that we didn't start off that way. And that's why we haven't really shared a lot about our kink side, because 3 years ago, there wasn't one.
Right, exactly.
But now we want you guys to know it's something that we are such advocates of alternate love and lifestyles. This is just another alternate lifestyle.
Right.
We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to whatever, but I want to support that in a sex positive way. I want to say, if that's what you love and it doesn't hurt anybody, but it hurts you to the way that you want it to, or whatever that means for you, that's an amazing gift. To not shame someone for liking something that just seems quote unquote weird. Well, try it.
Right.
And see what it's like. And actually, it's pretty fucking awesome. A lot of it has been amazing. And so I don't know where my kink journey is going to go. I think
me neither.
Yeah, I think I have a little bit more in it me than you do. But I also like to learn, and I also want to learn more about it. I think it's amazing. They talk about using kink with older folks who are having chronic pain issues because there's something about the way that the endorphins are released within your body that's something that comes from like impact play or flogging. And I'm fascinated. I don't know anything. So I don't even pretend to know anything. I just know that this is something that people are looking into because it just releases the chemicals in your body. And so I know people that I really suffer from chronic pain, and I don't when I make kink a part of my life because it just is firing off things in their body that they're not normally used to. So I'm fascinated by that side of it too. And so anyways, there's just so much.
Let me circle back though. When you say you think you have more of it in you than I do, I'm not sure that's necessarily true. Mine's just very different than yours.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, our paths, who knows where they're going to go. And but the beauty of it is we're figuring it out, you know, just, whatever you like. And then if you don't like what I'm doing, then I can usually find someone to partner with me, and same vice versa. Because there's stuff that I don't enjoy that you enjoy. And there's same for you. There's stuff that I enjoy that you don't. But we're lucky enough to have a great relationship to where we're like, yeah, okay, well then I think I would like to try this, and I'm going to have this person help me. Okay, that works out great. Tell me how that works for you, because I still don't have any interest in doing that. But yeah, I think you're right. I apologize. I didn't mean it to sound like it was...
like you're kinkier than me?
Yes, because that is definitely not the case.
Because I'm not sure that's the case.
No, I think we're evenly kinky in our own ways, but they are different. And that's the other thing too, is I think we've given ourselves permission to say, yeah, I don't really have any idea. I don't want to do that, but you go right ahead. And again, it's that same kind of piece. Like, I really want you to experience all those things. I really don't want to do a couple of them. There's just stuff, it just doesn't interest me at all. And you too. You don't want to force yourself to do something that you're not into. Even with another person, like if I'm the giver, I don't want to do something that doesn't turn me on. And we have those relationships that can. So what I'm trying to point out is that don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to look into it. Don't be afraid to talk to your partner about it. Go to classes, find your local dungeons. They are there. Trust me, you have a local dungeon probably somewhere in your area. If not, if you live out in the middle of nowhere, then it's probably in the city that you live closest to. But there are dungeons, and they will have newbie nights. And just go. Or a lot of times, I went to a fantastic dungeon in Atlanta right before COVID. And I'll give you a sneak peek on this piece. They had a great night that I happened to be there, and it was their educational night. And I went by myself because I didn't know anybody that was up there. And so I went, and they had all these different stations, and I just stood around and watched all the different things, and it was fascinating. So look for those nights in your local areas. Find places that do dungeon stuff. Go on FetLife. It's a very common website. It's just fetlife.com. Get a profile. It's free. And look and see. There's just so much out there, and it can be as freaky deaky as you could imagine. There's some pretty freaky shit out there, but there's also just the softer side. There's sensualists out there their whole big thing is just to like be so sensual that it's kinky, that it just makes you calm, even just thinking about the touches and the feels and the sensations and how great it is.
That's how I describe myself in my FetLife profile.
As a sensualist.
As a sensualist, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm just trying to get a point across. And you'll hear us talking about it now a lot more in a lot different ways, the different things that we like. If you've ever been on our Instagram account, you know that I enjoy rope work. It's called shibari. And that was something I never thought I would ever do. As a matter of fact, Phoenix and I do rope work together. When I first met him and I saw him do that with somebody else, I turned to him and I said, you will never tie me up. Because I'd also just met him, and either, like you're saying, there was a big trust thing there. And I said, you will never tie me up, and I am nobody's sub. So you are never going to treat me or talk to me like that or do that. And that's not our dynamic, but we do tie each other up. And so it wasn't that at all. It turned into something totally different. And now I love doing that because it's very artistic to me. There are some shibari people, some rope work people who do it much more on the bondage side. That's not how I am. I like it for the art. I like, again, pushing my own boundaries physically. So there's just so many things. So you can even go on our Instagram account and see a couple pictures of those, of us doing some suspensions and things like that. And you'll see a little bit more of that as we go on, because it's not anything to be afraid of. And it is who we are. And it's part of our journey now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yes, it is. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, other than as you say, it is part of our journey now, and it is continuing. And I think that we will, in our next episode, go one more on this and bring in Crimson Dragonfly and Phoenix Fire and have the four of us have another roundtable discussion.
You know what? That's a really good idea.
Yeah. And so they're the couple that we have developed Swinky Life with. And Swinky Life is the intersection of swinging and kink, and trying to bring those two communities together and finding the common ground between those communities. So I think it would be good for the four of us to just have a chat.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And talk about what we're doing at Naughty in New Orleans. Talk about where we've come kink-wise. So I think that would be a nice way to kind of put a bow on this beginning kink exploration.
Right. Because they came into the lifestyle through the kink
yeah.
because they didn't know how to get into it either. So
Right.
they came in from the total opposite direction we did. We came in no kink, no BDSM. They came into it like that's all they knew. And then like, oh shit, there's non-monogamy. That's so awesome. And that's why the swinky came along, the swing and the kink, because that's who we are.
Yeah.
We were the swinger side. They were the kink side. We came together, and they were into swinging but when we finally met them, obviously. But it's interesting to hear those two different paths, those two different journeys. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do that.
All right.
All right.
We'll bring them in, and we'll have a talk about kink and BDSM.
We're going to have a 4-way again.
Yes. We do that often.
Yeah, we do.
We do
including
it well.
last night.
I know.
And we'll do it. We're going to do it in a few hours and add some more.
Yeah. Yep, that's the plan. So let's wrap this up
Let's wrap this
because
up.
we have places to go and
we
people
gotta
to
take
fuck.
showers and
It's very rare that we're recording not at night. So yeah,
in fact, at the end of episode 34, which we just recorded, I said, good night, everybody. Well,
Yeah, you
it's
did.
like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but
That's all right. They won't know until they listen to 35.
Until they listen
They'd be
to
like,
this.
what a dork.
I'm sure they say that all the time anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode. We will continue to explore this dynamic. We will continue to talk about kink and BDSM. When we have a little bit more flexibility, we'll be able to really focus and maybe even do some specific subjects and pick some things apart. But that's for the future. But yeah, so this is part of who we are now. And we are excited to welcome you into this part of our world that, again, we didn't even think anybody would ever listen to this podcast. So now we know that there are also people on the fence about this and they don't understand kink either. So we wanted you to hear what it was for us, how terrifying it was, how it wasn't so terrifying, and now how it's kind of actually cool, and now how much we really like it.
Yeah.
And now we advocate for it and teach about it.
And it's empowering.
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
it can be empowering. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So that's it for us for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, or for today. See, I did the same thing too. So thanks for joining us for today. The normal run through the mill of the socials that you can find us on Instagram at Accidental Swingers, or
At Myrina's Tristan.
and then on Twitter, we are at Myrina_Tristan, or you can always just search Accidental Swingers and that will show up. If you want to join our Naughty Discord group, going to Naughty in New Orleans, if you're going, and actually you should sign up for our classes if you're going, by the way. When that schedule gets published, you can go in there and say, I'm going to attend a Swinky Life class. You can do that, join our Discord group, you go to our website, the information will pop up about joining our newsletter, or you can click on the Naughty in New Orleans tab, and I believe the signing up for the Discord group is there. Or you can even just send me an email and say, hey, we're going to be at Naughty, we'd love to be in the Discord group, and we will send you an invitation to do that. And we're just all going to hang out and chat with each other and get to know each other before we all show up into NOLA at the first week of July. That's where we're going to be.
I can't wait.
I know, we're so excited. So it's going to be a busy time between now and then. But,
Yes, it will be.
But it's going to be awesome. So reach out to us, find us, touch base with us, let us know your thoughts and ideas, and we will talk to you soon.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
care.
Bye. Love this episode of The Accidental Swingers? Pop on over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our show. And while you're there, you can leave us a review. You can also visit our website, accidentalswingers.com, to get show notes, read our blog, or find out about our next adventure. Join us next time and listen along as we bumble our way through this adventure that we call the lifestyle.